Well, that's great news.
Nothing's great news these days. It's all promises, and I hate hearing all the more promises because I never believe anything's going to happen. What about you guys?
As you guys can see, Josh is in a good mood.
He's had a great week.
He's really excited to be here.
What else happened this week, you guys? The Jets? That was the big thing.
They've won twice.
2 wins.
Great, two wins. They're up
First
2-0.
team to be 2-0, I think.
Yep.
We'll see what happens tonight.
No, that's not tonight.
What?
Yeah, but the other teams are playing.
Other teams, yes.
Other teams have a chance to be up 2-0 in their series.
Yeah, we don't play again until Thursday.
Thursday.
Yeah.
No.
And
Are they going to take the Blues?
I think we'll take the Blues. If I'm honest with you, guys,
Be
I
honest.
think that the Jets are going to get past the Blues. I think this is their revenge year, I feel.
They're going to take the Knights too?
I think they're going to take Colorado next.
No,
Sorry, Adam.
Doesn't like that.
And then I think it's going to be Vegas in the final.
Ugh,
And then
Vegas.
we'll get to the Stanley Cup final.
Well, I think
That sounds right.
the Jets are going to beat the Blues in 6 games.
6 games.
6 games.
You don't think we're going to sweep it? I mean, St. Louis.
I don't think it's going to sweep. I think it's going to be 5.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe 5.
Bennington's going to steal at least 1 game.
Yeah.
That's
on-
true.
on
That's
his
true.
own.
That's true.
He's tried a couple times.
Yeah, he sure has.
That's true. Oh, what else, guys? Nothing else? The Jets was the number one exciting thing.
Well,
Pretty
I mean,
much.
the Pope died. That's not exciting.
It's not exciting
He
at
blessed
all.
himself and then moved on.
Well, first he had to see JD Vance.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
You're saying JD did it.
Well, I'm not saying anything.
Conspiracy.
I have
Yeah.
no evidence.
That's right. The Americans, this wouldn't be the first time they headed over somewhere and then off somebody.
No,
Oh, boy.
they've
Yeah.
never done that ever.
Absolutely
Never.
not.
Never.
You can't just say things like you can't prove anything.
You could, these days,
Ben.
people can say whatever they want. It doesn't even have to be true. I've been on the internet long enough to know that's what the case is.
That's
So-
right.
Very good.
Go ahead.
Let's go
Just say whatever you want. People will believe it.
Are you just ruining our credibility?
No, I'm
It's
just
like,
saying that
we're just
everybody
gonna
does
say
it.
whatever we want.
Not us. We
Oh.
try to at least say what is reasonable and informative, but
Well, I've read those comments and I have determined that we don't know anything.
it's okay.
And you have a bad toque.
Worse than taxes, this toque is, you guys. It's cheap. The taxes were barely anything on it, and yet
It is worse.
it is worse than the thousands of dollars that you guys pay each year on taxes.
Worse. It's
Unbelievable.
I would take those taxes over that toque
Yeah.
every time.
Nope.
Well, Adam, tell me about the promises this week, because we're about a week in, and
Josh's promises.
topic.
a week away.
His favorite topic, the promises of the week.
Yeah.
Well, let's get some promises up on the screen here so we can look at them.
All right. So let's start with.
I think people have been promising some home building.
Ugh. No, I
They-
don't believe any of that.
They promised it, and then they're just talking about it a lot. What else have they been promising to us? Scroll down here a little bit. Let's see.
Here we go.
No.
One of Canada's main parties promising the upcoming federal election.
Reuters is going to fill us in here.
Reuters.
Roto-Rooters. Look at, there's Polyev there.
There he
There he
is.
is. Let's see the liberals. Here they are. They're going to deal with Trump.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a new promise, right?
Apparently.
Yeah,
That's their only promise.
their whole friggin' platform.
Yeah.
They're going to tell us about how their reciprocal tariffs are doing great at taxing us.
Yeah.
So
The
that's
taxes on Canadians.
good. And we apparently are happy, and we congratulate them for taxing us. It's really interesting that we're doing that. Yeah. What else? Taxes. He's promised some taxes.
Reducing the marginal tax rate.
Yeah, he's gonna. That was a while ago, but we can mention it as an update here. He's going to reduce the lowest tax bracket. I can't even say words. Blah blah blah. Leak spec. The Conservatives are going to do that too. So they're both going to reduce that lower tax bracket. Save us a little bit off our taxes.
Sounds good.
Seems good.
Security.
Get it done first.
Yeah, they're they're talking about the military now. I think both parties. I mean,
Well, they've been told by the Americans that they need to increase the military spending to 2% of Canada's GDP. So
they said,
as a vassal state of the U.S., we have to do what the Americans say. And we are going to just increase the military.
well, that's not a very elbows up attitude over there, Mr. Vassal State.
I mean, up until the point that Donald Trump got in and brought it up, they weren't really talking about it. And
No.
then all of a sudden, they decided, well, Donald Trump's been saying it, so we got to do it. I mean,
Because
why did they
have
come
to
up with
defend
that?
us from Trump?
Yeah, sure they do. There's no way that a 2% GDP army or a military or whatever in Canada is going to stand up to the biggest army in the world. So let's get something straight here.
You haven't been speaking to Mr. Carney then.
No, I know.
He is going to save us from Trump.
That is what
All of Trump.
all of the boomers believe, but I don't know.
Anything he might trump our direction,
He's going to
Carney's going to save us.
No, it ain't happening. Tell me what other kind of promises there are, because
They're
other
gonna
than that,
they're gonna aggressively develop our natural resources.
what does that even
in
mean?
the national interest. They're gonna be mad about it. I'm gonna put some natural resources here. You're gonna like it, Josh.
That's apparently what it
like it.
is. I don't believe it.
No.
I don't believe it.
The trade diversification.
Yeah.
You're noticing that like these liberal promises are very vacuous. There's like,
Listen, that's most politicians here.
but these like there's nothing behind any of this.
Yeah, I know.
It's just a bunch of wind.
The most
Just blowing.
successful federal election promise and accomplishment I ever seen was the previous conservative government, when they had a 5-point plan, and they did all 5 points on that plan. Like, they just said, we're going to do these 5 things, and they got them all done. They held one of them off, obviously, until the next election so they could get in. But you know what? They said 5 specific things. They did 5 specific things. They had to be held accountable to those 5 specific promises.
Specific promises. They're very much to the west.
Yeah. I mean, I do believe that the liberals will try to make us trade more with Europe and other nations, but you know, whatever is going to happen there,
But
I don't
Carney
really know.
says we can't trade with them unless we have a carbon tax.
That is true. They are much more environmentally conscious on that front. So I mean,
So does
I
that
guess
mean
we
they
will just tax ourselves more until we.
But does that mean that the 2 largest economies in the world won't trade with Europe then? Because there's no carbon tax in China or in the U.S.
Good point, Adam.
So those countries are just, Europe's going to be like, nope, sorry guys, we don't need anything you have. We don't wish to sell you anything.
No, it goes
you
back.
You can save the environment, please.
It goes directly back to the book that Mark Carney wrote a few years back.
Values.
And he specifically said that he's a, what do you call it, a net zero guy. And the only reason he's using this excuse that other countries might not trade with Canada is because he has a very specific ideology and he wants to accomplish that here in Canada, despite what maybe Canadians may want.
He's a windbag. Look, people want resources. We have them. If we're willing to trade them, people will trade with us.
Well, and they need those resources up until the point that some magical technology comes about.
They're not going to tell us that they don't need our critical minerals and our oil because we don't have a carbon tax.
Yeah, but if Canadians vote in the leaders that decide to not develop the resources and instead just hold them in the ground, then we will simply just lose out on the economic value of having those resources go to market. And then whatever, then those other countries will find resources elsewhere from other places, and Canada will be just left in the dust.
That's right.
So whatever. I mean, who cares?
We're already eating a little bit of dust.
We'll be eating a lot more dust by 2040.
Well,
that's what I heard.
I mean, you heard that, but I heard that elbows up.
Yeah, you know what? Do we want to discuss any more of these promises, or should I bring up an additional topic?
I don't know. I mean, the promises have been few and far between this week. There's nothing super new.
Exactly.
There's been some small things. There's nothing really big to bring out. You know, it's basically just, you know, we had the debates, and then the leaders have been taking shots at each other's plans ever since then. But nothing really big's jumping out. So why don't you tell us what you want to talk about, Josh?
Well, you mentioned the debates, Adam. Let's talk about the debates first.
Or should we debate them?
Yeah, bring that intro up, Michael Lee here.
The 5 takeaways from Canada party leaders.
The big TV debate. One of them. It's one of them.
All right, here we go, guys.
Well, what happened? What were the takeaways? Does it tell us?
All right, so here are the 5 takeaways from Canada's party leaders' big TV debate.
I mean, now we have to present all 5 of the takeaways. I don't know what they are.
Oh, we'll find out as we go through, right?
It's promises. Go through, Michael. Tell us what is.
It's going to be a bunch of promises. Yep.
Well, leaders of Canada's 4 major federal parties have squared off in their second and final debate ahead of this month's general election.
Both debates
So-
are in Quebec.
Yeah, there was
Okay.
there was a French one, right? That happened, I believe, one day, and then the next day was English or something.
That's how it went. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So let's see if I can scroll through here and find out. Oh, here we go.
Here we go. The
There are
five big takeaways.
Trudeau's ghost haunts Carney. What do you guys think that means?
What does that mean, Josh? If you had to ponder on it.
I don't have to ponder very long.
He doesn't. Good. We know you don't like things that are long.
Trudeau's ghost. It's basically. I think the article is trying to explain to us that
Trudeau's
the previous Liberal government is the situation that Mark Carney will be referenced to, and they're trying to say that it's Trudeau's baby and maybe not Mark Carney's baby.
dead. Oh, so Trudeau didn't die and become a ghost?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
The thing is, I think it's just people are trying to do that change of captains thing, right? And they're trying to tell us, hey, you know what? It's a different guy. It's a different thing. Everything that was told to you before was all smoke and mirrors, and this time we have a real solid plan. That's what I think
Yeah, okay.
they're trying to lead us with.
They have the same plan. But anyways, I'll boot my camera. That'll be fine. Don't worry about that.
All right, here's
We're a professional show around here.
Here's the second one: a softer approach to Trump's tariffs.
Oh, yeah, okay. They're asked about how they would negotiate with Trump and respond to his tariffs. Well, there's not a whole lot you can do about his tariffs, other than unfortunately start figuring out what he actually wants from us and figuring out how we can deliver some of it.
When it actually is going to be implemented as well,
Mm-hmm.
because you hear one date and then it gets pushed to another date, and then he changes his mind, and then it's like a continuous vicious cycle.
I mean, if you actually sat down and watched the debate like most Canadians did not,
Did not, yes, let's be honest.
you find out that we are in a crisis. 100 times Mark Carney said it was a crisis. And I mean, I don't necessarily think it is such an extreme situation. It is definitely an economic recession that will likely happen on both fronts. But I don't know. What, like you're saying, what can we actually do about these tariffs? You know what?
We can't do a whole lot.
And the way the Americans are implementing them, it's come and go for a reason. You know, they are having trouble with determining what extent they're actually wanting to tariff and to what extent it's simply a tool to get their way.
Well, they seem to be not tariffing countries that don't retaliate on them.
Yeah.
At
'Cause
least so far.
It's a tool to get negotiations going, really.
Yeah.
And if we want to fight a little longer, then we'll suffer a little longer. I mean, at the end of the day, like we said, we have a small economy, and I don't know what's going to happen.
Well, I mean, you can look at all those, the two main plans from the leaders. They're talking about money they're going to get from the tariffs.
Yeah.
Right? They're incorporating.
You mean money that you're going to get from Canadians.
Right. That's where I was going with that. So they're incorporating into their plans that they are going to make a bunch of extra money that they can spend. They're just literally taking it from us. It's a tax.
Yeah.
They're taxing us more. And we're just like, cool, guys. You're saving us at that tax. It's really weird.
I don't get it. I'm not an excited person when they're saying let's fight back with tariffs. I don't like it when either of the leading parties do it. And
No.
and I would wish for at least a renegotiation of the trade agreement or some kind of open dialogue between the leaders of the countries. But I don't have any faith in this current prime minister to actually do that. He's not going to do it because maybe he's here for a little bit, maybe he's here for a longer term. I don't really know. The thing is, I would wish for negotiations on this front and not just each person waving a big stick and saying, my country's better than your company, elbows up and all that garbage, you know, because,
Well, elbows up to you being off on a tangent because we're trying to talk about the debate here.
yeah. I'm just saying with those two people and the tariffs, that's what we got a discussion about.
Yeah, we need to not have counter tariffs. That's basically what it is. But,
Devil in the policy details.
yeah, well, what's the difference
What
here?
does this mean?
It means there's specific differences between all these different leaders and their plans. And people need to pay more attention to them. That's what that means.
Are they giving us a good runaround in the media about what the differences of these plans are right now?
They're just telling us why the liberal plan is the best
No, basically.
when the conservative plan is not good. That's pretty much what it is. So that's like, pay more attention to the details of what they're saying they're going to do and how they're going to do it, because that's really what will affect you in the long run.
Well, most Canadians who watched the debate, if they watched for a little bit, they were slightly unchanged.
Mm-hmm.
If they watched longer, there's actually more certainty in who they would vote for and more chance that they would change their mind. It was actually interesting when they looked at the details. What did you think of these debates, Adam?
I thought the format was a little bit odd. I would have liked to see more actual discussion between the leaders. It was good to see them taking the questions and answering them. There were probably a few occasions where the leaders were given a certain time frame to ask a question to someone else, whatever, and they took that opportunity to just talk themselves for a minute and a half, which I didn't think was great, because the problem with that is it leaves the other guy not very much time to speak, and he can just dodge the question and weasel out of answering it easier because he doesn't have to do it for as long. But yeah, I would have liked to see a little bit
lot
more
of that in the debate.
I would have liked to see more discussion, less with like leader to moderator and then leader to moderator, and more like leader to leader. And I probably could have done with less of Jagmeet Singh like interrupting things constantly.
That's right. He was quite annoying. He must have put on that orange because he thought, you know what, I'm gonna be exactly like Donald Trump in the American debates.
Yeah,
he channeled his inner Donald Trump in that English debate, and it interrupted the heck out of everybody.
And I understand that he's, his party
fighting for survival is what he's doing.
He's trying to get some attention.
It's like, look at me. He's like a chihuahua.
Okay, settle
yeah,
down.
Pay attention.
But yeah, I don't think that was the way to get the attention. Most of the people I spoke to about it were not super impressed with that. But he's gonna do what he thinks is right. That's how it is.
Well, as you mentioned that, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
Please cut me off.
Here's part number 4: smaller parties fight for airtime and survival.
Yeah, they kicked that Green Party out too.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I'm okay with that. They have to have some kind of standards, and having parties, giving them a platform to talk when they really have no chance of even becoming an official member, an official party in the House of Commons, is just fine by me.
Well, yeah, and I don't think that it would be fair to allow the Green Party, and then as much as they're not my favorite, then say you can't have the PPC there. Like where do you draw the line? Really, like
they made that ruling basically to say, you know what, we can't have the PPC here because their numbers are too low, and then they go, oops, I guess we can't have the Greens either. So that's what happened.
That's how it goes. Yeah,
and I was totally okay with it because nobody's really listening to them.
Yeah, these parties really don't have much effect on anything.
So
yeah, they'll lay out a plan to what they would do if they formed government, and obviously it could be purely made up because I know they're never going to win. That's not helpful at all. So we don't really need them spending time in this debate. That's what I think, Josh. That's what I think about the debates. They could have been better. Could have been worse.
Well, here's the last takeaway from all this: Canadian civility on display.
Oh.
What do you think this means?
Except maybe for Jagmeet Singh.
Except for maybe Jagmeet Singh. That guy was definitely interrupting like an American president. Other than that, yeah, they were a little cordial with each other. Once they hit the campaign outside of these debates, they've been harping on each other left and right. But
that's what that's kind of part of it, right?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. The debates. I go back to your point initially. How you wish that they would be talking one-on-one.
Mm-hmm.
Debate format should be dead. I think going forward, if you get one-on-one conversations in podcast form between these leaders, you will see a heck of a lot more. In fact, I would hazard to guess that if you had even one leader go on continual podcasts for an entire election campaign and showed his whole personality and his platform, I think you would have a higher chance. I mean, it may not be the case right now when boomers have something like 14 million votes left. I mean, it's lower than Gen Z and millennials right now,
but they're more likely to vote.
They are. But that's what I'm saying. When boomers dissipate, yeah,
sounds harsh.
They're going away.
I would like to keep some of those boomers around as long as I could.
Yeah, but all I'm saying is eventually we'll be going up and in age, and the Canadians that watch TV, CBC and all that, will be like, whatever, I don't care if there's a debate on. They're going to watch their favorite podcasts. And if you have a politician that comes on one of your favorite podcasts and has a lengthy discussion and opens your eyes on what that person actually says in a one-on-one context, he's going to have far more support, I think, than these gotcha moments from the government-funded media.
You don't think that people will watch the CBC when Carney's like increased its budget by 150 million and then maybe another 150 million and then maybe doubled it to 2 billion or 2.5 billion?
I mean, it will be around.
People will be watching that?
It'll be around. Yeah, but no, I think not.
Oh.
It'll be wasting our money once again.
But I thought it had to be funded to match funding of like BBC and stuff for some reason. That no one explained why.
Yeah, exactly. I don't understand why we have to keep spending more money on that than we do on anything else that actually matters to Canadians. That's the long and short of funding CBC.
Well, since we're on that tangent, I heard that CBC gets more funding than CSIS.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Which one is more important for keeping Canadians safe?
Yeah,
CBC. That's the answer, guys.
Apparently.
More money there, please. Just so they can be mad when, alternative media is asking questions at debates.
That's something we didn't talk about these debates. Did you see the press scrum questioning afterwards?
After the French one?
Yes, because the English one was canceled.
And I happened to be watching the feed on CBC, and I just enjoyed how angry all of the CBC people were that was happening.
Irate, right?
They're just outright like upset about it.
Yeah, apparently.
I can't believe there's no standards around here. Someone's gotta get like.
What happened was a lot of the alternative media from YouTube and whatnot got in front of the line, and they basically just they asked a whole bunch of questions, and whether you like the questions or not, whether you consider them journalists or not, is like it's irrelevant. The point here is that they got the questions first, and CBC absolutely did not like it. Apparently, when you fund them $1.5 billion, they get so fat that they can't get up and get in a line and ask questions before the alternative media does.
Yeah. No, they were just downright offended by it. It was hilarious. But Jagmeet Singh,
he doesn't even answer the questions.
Wouldn't answer questions from Rebel News.
Yeah, like that guy is ridiculous. Like there's like 5 million.
Carney answered them.
Well, there's like 5 million people listening to Rebel News in Canada. Okay, so like
they don't count though.
Yeah. Apparently they don't count. Like there's a huge amount of Canadians. You should probably answer some of their questions to the best of your ability, even if you do it politically and with no speak, right?
Like at least give them the courtesy of like dodging their questions and then babble about healthcare, whatever he wants to do.
Yeah, you're basically telling people. You're basically telling a vast swath of Canadians that they don't matter. And they're
just really weird. It didn't make sense.
Well, it does make sense in the sense that the CBC is trying to create a market cap on journalism and have them doing it, you know. That's, I mean, I like all forms of media because, you know what, there's just sometimes better quality from independent sources.
Is there?
Yeah, there definitely is. You hear all sides of the story if you listen to independent and mainstream and all that. So I prefer everybody to get out there and ask their questions, and then if you have the frickin' mainstream media just getting on their platform and saying everybody else isn't even a journalist and we have to have integrity and we're the best because, you know, we get funding and we just are for whatever reason.
So I was frustrated with it because though I don't tend to lean towards any of the leftiness, I still like to hear their perspective because I like to hear all the perspectives so I can formulate an opinion.
That's good.
And so that's why I was watching on CBC for that debate. And then they spent their whole time, the CBC, you know, the panel there, the whole time they were supposed to be analyzing the debate that just happened, they were just complaining about the questions that were asked.
Yeah.
They basically didn't talk about the debate. And I was like, I would like to have heard their thoughts on the actual debate. Not their whining that other media were getting to ask questions that they didn't like. So I thought that was a pretty big disappointment from a station that already the bar I felt was pretty low.
Yeah, I agree. Journalists these days have been making, and for like a year now. Remember that time that one was it Globe and Mail or somebody was harassing Pierre on at the House of Commons there, like on the Parliament there. He's just asking him randomly harsh, like random questions when Pierre's trying to make a statement here.
I think that
He's
was
like, what
global,
about this?
I think it was Global News.
Was it global? Yeah, it might have been global news.
I think so.
The point here is that they're making themselves the story, and maybe that's not what we need. You know what? If they have such time and energy to make themselves the story, they have a little bit too much money. I think they need to focus on making proper content for Canadians to actually hear. Like you're saying, you need the actual views, because I watched Power and Politics and that afterwards, and
David Cochrane.
yeah, David Cochrane was doing the exact same thing, talking about how the debate commission needs to rethink what they're doing. It's like, you know what?
Well, he was on the panel on CBC that was complaining.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. And then he got on his own show and started whining a bunch more.
You know, sometimes I thought he wasn't so bad, but I wasn't impressed with his performance in that particular.
They have their moments, but they have their egos too, for sure. That's why they get on camera.
I mean, I guess it helps.
Yeah, that's true. So something else happened this week besides debates, Michael Lee. Do you know what it is?
No, nothing else happened.
I don't know if you got out, but me and Adam got out Saturday and Sunday.
I did not get out. I was working.
Yeah, but do you know what we're talking about?
No.
Bring up that next story, Michael Lee.
He must not mean that it was like warm and sunny for one day.
Yeah, that was nice too.
Yeah.
It would be nice if it stayed. We're not sponsored. Right. We're not sponsored.
2 million vote on first day of advanced polls, setting a turnout record.
That number's higher now.
Of course, it's been a couple extra days since this article was written here.
It's over 7 million.
That's insane.
It's insane. It is insane. The amount of people that have gotten out to vote already, it's significantly higher. I have never voted in early election, in early polling or early voting.
My goodness.
Have you guys?
Would you get it out already?
Have you voted early, Adam, before?
I think this is the second or third time.
Really? You're more prepared. Was there a lineup when you went?
Are you kidding? You know where I vote? A little building behind a curling club in the middle of nothing?
Yeah.
There was definitely no lineup.
I voted at a seniors rec center, and there was a lineup only in the polling station where my line would happen to be. Every other one had like no lineup, but it was surprising. It was the first time I did early voting. Yeah, it's true. So early voting happened, and lots of people are voting. So is that going to lead to higher turnout numbers, Adam? Do you think, or do you think we are just more certain of who we want to vote for and we're getting it out of the way?
I think the turnout will be higher. I don't know what the record advanced polling, the previous record was.
I think it was.
Is that it right there?
Yeah,
5.8
million viewers.
Yep.
Okay.
Viewers.
So
voters.
That was the highest one-day record.
Okay.
Yeah.
2 million.
2 million. Okay, yeah. But yeah, so I was reading now it ended up being over 7 million. I guess advanced voting is closed now. So that's a lot of people who have already voted. I think you'll still see a good turnout on election day. So who knows? This could be one of our highest turnouts in a good long while.
And why is that?
Well, it's a good question. There's probably a lot of thoughts on that. I've watched some interesting things on YouTube that are declaring that they're making a lot of interesting declarations.
They do that. It's YouTube. That's what you're supposed to do.
That's right. We do it too, I guess.
Yeah.
No, I think it's because people are more they're more involved in this election. Even if they're not getting the details, they are paying attention to it, and they're paying attention to slogans and elbows up, and they're worried about Trump and all that kind of stuff. So
some of us are just sick of what we've had to go through.
And then there's the other side. Yes,
yeah.
People that are sick of the last 10 years, and they can't wait to get their vote in there to be like, no more of this crap.
Yeah.
I know one person like that. But yeah, I don't know. Everyone's seems excited to get their vote in for whatever their personal reasons are. My question to you, Josh, is do you think this is going to have some kind of effect on the outcome?
The outcome, because who wins?
Who wins? Because I've seen a few, like I said, a few interesting things where people are like, well, if all this advanced voting means it's all conservatives voting, so they're going to win. And as much as I may like the sound of that, I don't know that that's exactly what it means. What do you think?
I think it does affect the outcome. I think a lot of people that weren't going to vote for before are going, or probably don't normally vote, are going out and voting, and it's going to change a certain amount of seats. I know in the riding where I vote, they've redrawn the lines because of the new seating in the House of Commons, and we've taken in a little bit of rural area.
You stole some of my riding, in fact.
That's exactly right. So what does that say for the turnout? Because that might change the numbers right there. And the fact is, in my riding is one of the most competitive ridings. It's basically 50-50 between Conservatives and NDP for the last little while. We had a by-election, I think it was in November or something. I never voted in that one, and the Conservative candidate lost to the NDP candidate by like 1,100 votes. You know, it was
and now
small amounts.
You've added some more probably conservative votes. But
I have added and then I have encouraged a few more people to go and vote in that certain direction.
By yelling at them from your driveway?
No.
I hear that works.
I have gone out and helped them vote. Yes.
That's good.
The point of the matter is, I think, and statistics, or at least some polling is suggesting that because the Conservatives haven't been in a while, they're more likely to get out and vote. So you might be right on the sense that the Conservative number will be a lot higher right off the bat because they're the guys probably going out and voting immediately.
I think that there is something to that.
We'll
have to see how much of an effect it has.
I think so. We'll see. At the end of the day, whoever wins or loses,
we still have the Michael Lee.
Save us, Michael Lee, because Mark Carney ain't gonna do it.
Hey,
speaking of Mark Carney,
he's gonna save us.
Yes,
he's got a plan.
It
involves some spending. Are you shocked?
I am shocked. I was told that this was a fiscal conservative leading the liberals, and he was an economist and a better banker, and he was going to save us. Are you telling me that he is better or worse than the previous Prime Minister Justin Trudeau?
Well, listen, I don't want to make any promises because I know how you feel about those.
You can just tell me your opinion on those two liberal leaders.
Do I think he's worse than Trudeau? Is that the question?
You know what? You don't have to answer it. Tell us about the plan.
The plan is he's going to spend $130 billion over and above what was already promised to be spent by Trudeau, which was already a bunch of money the country didn't have.
Sounds like he's worse than Trudeau.
It's coming across that way, doesn't it? But yeah, so he's got this plan. He's going to just magic all of this money into existence. It's going to be a bunch more debt for the country. You
just borrow it and then you make Michael Lee pay it back later.
Yeah, Michael Lee will pay it back.
Whoa.
He'll go to work. He'll work hard, and Carney will be like, "Thanks, I'll take a little bit more than I already do."
At least when you go to work, Michael Lee, put on a big red nose and a little bit of white face paint, and you can be like
a massive clown.
Yeah, we all are. We all should.
You see this here? Over the next 4 years,
there it is.
Carney liberals are projecting deficits of $225 billion.
Yeah,
over 4 years, $225 billion. They have somehow managed to be more wasteful and ridiculous than everything Trudeau just finished doing.
This doesn't make any sense.
Well, they'll probably get it done too because they're probably going to be more efficient at spending the money. I mean, one of the promises that we didn't talk about is the gun buyback program that they are going to continue keeping in place. The money is like billions and billions of dollars spent of Canadians' hard-earned money to basically get nothing back. So it's an absolute insane program, wasting money, giving it to whoever knows what person gets that money, and they're not even accomplishing any goals. But they're going to continue doing that. So continue wasting Canadian taxpayer money. You know what? Canada doesn't care. They're just going to eventually retire or be retired and then die off. And then the Canadians are going to just be like, oh, well, I don't have to pay for that. Michael Lee's paying for it.
Well, the problem is they're not even...
sorry, Michael Lee. I'm looking out for you.
They're not even using any money to put towards stopping the illegal guns getting smuggled into this country.
Listen, if you're going to be logical...
what is being used to kill people.
If you're going to be logical about it, Adam, you have to vote on the right. If you're just going to vote with your feelings and whatever you think is best ideologically, you vote on the left. That's how it goes, you know? I mean, this plan is just going to put us further into debt than the Canadian economy has been. But you know what? He's going to balance the budget because apparently the budgets, they always balance themselves when Liberals are in the lead. We've seen it never in the history of Canada, but you know what? It's going to happen this time because Trudeau promised it to us, and Carney hasn't made that promise yet, but he'll just believe it will happen.
I want to jump in right there.
Go ahead.
Carney does not need to.
That's his proper name.
He doesn't need to promise because as Trudeau informed us, budgets balance themselves. So Carney doesn't have to do it.
Yeah.
He can just spend money and it'll be fine because that'll balance itself.
The devil's advocate here would be Donald Trump is creating the worst crisis we've ever seen in the history of mankind. Okay?
Okay,
so basically we have to spend. Yeah. It's exactly like the pandemic. You have to spend money, right, to save the country in order to eventually get out of this crisis.
Okay, fair.
That's what the devil's advocate is.
Let's
we
follow
saw
that.
it happen earlier this decade in the pandemic. We spent a whole bunch of money. Nothing happened with inflation. Nothing got worse. Nothing got more expensive. Housing didn't have any problems.
It didn't double in costs. It's not twice as expensive as it used to be.
So the thing is, there you go.
So Carney's going to spend $225 billion over and above what the government brings in over the next 4 years.
Yep.
That's what it was, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but it's okay, right? It's okay. Because he's going to protect us from Trump by spending that money,
That's right.
right? So,
He might give some of it to that
how?
company. Oh, how is he going to give some money away?
well, no, how is he going to spend it to save us from Trump?
Oh, that's a good question. One of the biggest gripes of mine was the housing that politicians seem to promise that will never accomplish. I mean, one of the promises that we didn't discuss here was the 2.3 million houses that the Conservatives are promising over five years, which is basically doubling the current numbers of housing. I don't believe in those Conservatives to get that done either. They may bring the numbers up a little bit if they make housing affordability go lower, for the average Canadian.
The cost of building, like lower the cost of building.
That might help. That might help. But to double the numbers to that 2.3 million in 5 years, I don't believe it.
That won't happen.
No.
No.
But the thing we're talking about here was Mark Carney and how he's going to spend the money, right?
Right. Yeah, he's going to save us from Trump. So their whole platform has been
save us from the crisis.
Trump is bad, and as Canadians, we need to be saved, right? So he's going to spend this $225 billion, and how is he going to save us? I want to know.
Well, he's going to take that money like before, and they're going to give it to the We Charity or whatever kind of friends in high places they have. That's what the previous Liberals did, and one of it is going to be housing. It's going to be Chinese knockoff housing.
And who's going to benefit from that?
The person who buys it.
Would it be some?
Would it be Michael Lee? Michael Lee? Are you planning to buy a cheap Chinese knockoff house for
you can't buy it. It'll be a rental.
That's the point.
He can rent it.
It was a trick question. I'm sorry. I got you.
Yeah, because the owner is going to be some company that I believe is in the asset management business.
Yep, they have a specific fund.
Yes.
Probably. I'm good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Michael doesn't want one of those.
You're not
houses.
good.
Nope. Most people don't.
Yeah.
Most people don't want those.
Too bad. It's all you'll be able to afford.
Well, that's his plan.
Depressing. Come on now.
I'm sorry. I'm just telling it like it is. Brookfield will be buying up those houses and the properties and renting them off to Canadians because they won't be able to afford it. They'll have the billions of dollars.
Yep.
And that is apparently how they're going to save us from Trump, by making billionaires richer. That's what it's going to be.
Okay, so is there anything in his big spending plan that will save us from Trump? By the way, what specifically do we need to be saved from Trump?
The taxes that Canadians are putting on us?
I mean, so he's got some tariffs on us. He's making some of our exports more expensive. That is
the one thing. Yeah.
That is trouble for our job market and
That's
our
right.
manufacturing industry. And there has been some fallout from it, but and that's not good, right? But countries can adapt to things like this. Politicians can talk. They can come to an agreement and figure this out.
That's what I've been asking.
I'm trying to figure out how this is like such an existential crisis, because that's what I'm told by the Liberals. Anytime I bring up something that I think the Conservatives are saying they're going to do that's good, I just get met with, but Trump is bad and the Conservatives won't stop him. so we have to do everything about Trump. And I just am missing the point, I guess, on how absolutely bad this is. It's definitely not good.
Michael,
people are losing their jobs.
Can you fill us in?
Bad, but
because Adam and I are both clueless as to how that the liberal plan is the final saving grace. You know, it's Jesus incarnate.
How is it going to fix the problems we're facing?
And the conservatives are just more demons running around and going to hurt Canada. Like, do you see this in the conversations that you've heard?
Honestly?
Yeah, tell us what you've heard, man.
Just bombarded him. Answer now.
Like, I don't even know.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really understand a lot of what's happening right now.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a little lost, and you know, I come every week. You guys kind of more or less fill me in.
That's right.
That's what we're trying to do. Yeah.
And
I mean, we spend
you and the other 5 people.
We spend our days and our extra time at the end of the day listening to political experts and pundits jibber jabber our ears out.
Did you say pundits?
Yeah.
he said pundits.
Okay.
Pundits. And we try to get informed from both sides of the spectrum. But all we hear is that it's a crisis and that the only saving grace is the Liberal Party. And we just don't understand because you know what? 2 things happened today. Well, I should say 2 things happened as of today. The costed plans came out, and we've determined previously the Liberal one came out.
Yeah.
That's where we get this $131 billion of extra spending. And then the Conservatives have promised $70 billion worth of cuts and
$100 billion of debts.
So anyways, there's 2 different layouts here with what we get from the Canadian leaders, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have one guy saying we need to spend ourselves into the ground, and we have another saying, you know, he's not completely going into fiscal conservatism because that might be out the window these days. It might be partially due to
it's not austerity, right?
Yeah, that's right. The thing here is I don't think, and by that he means, are we going to balance the books? You know,
he hasn't even said he's going to do that.
And I think part of the reason is because of what you said. It's the trade war situation and having to diversify and having to invest in our economy. The difference between liberals and conservatives at this point in time right now is we have a conservative leader who's telling us we need to invest in the real technologies of today, oil and gas and minerals, and get those things to market, because there is a market for them right now today, and it would actually offshore a lot of pollution that other countries are doing. Mm-hmm. Then we have an ideological framework from the liberals here telling us about this net zero value that they seem to have, where they're going to tax us into the ground with tariffs, with green taxes that I tell you will come back. We will have carbon taxes, and we will not have rebates. Mm-hmm. And those will come back. They will invest. Like, they have this green slush money that slush fund money that came from all of these carbon taxes that they had, and then they just gave it away to other corporations that weren't even doing green initiatives. Mm-hmm. And then they shut down Parliament in order to say, hey, you know what? Don't look into this sketchy thing that we did with all of your taxpayer money. We just did the opposite of what we said we were going to do. We just made our friends rich. Mm-hmm. So the thing here is, yeah, they're going to just continue on that initiative, and they're going to try to invest in net zero technologies, as well as that might work or might not, because we haven't really had many case studies around the world where it's actually been feasible for huge economies. So I really think that we're rolling the dice here, and we're basically like, we're betting with Gen Z's future capability to have a meaningful life. That's what it's going to come down to.
But it's okay because our elbows are up.
Well, you know what? Something was up this week, and it was meme-tastic. I wanna just talk to you about the Gen Z's feelings for a sec, because I'm tired of complaining. Let's hear to someone else's complaint. Michael Lee, I want you to pull up this.
This photo will define this Canadian election. This older gentleman giving the double middle finger at a Mark Carney rally with a big smile on his face is a representation of an entire class of people that does not care that you won't be able to afford a home, that does not care that you won't be able to have and raise kids in this country, that does not care about the fact that their country and culture is being completely destroyed and decimated from underneath them. This is the face of people who laugh and smile at the fact that you're complaining about the state of this country. country. They don't care. They love it. They know what they're doing. They know they're ruining things, and they love it because they're fine. They don't have to worry about it. And you know, it's not all old people, so don't blame all the boomers. Don't say it's everybody, because it's a very select group of people. But these types of people are the ones that want to screw over your future. So are you going to let that happen, or are we going to outvote people like this? Because we cannot have this continue on. This photo is a work of art. This
Look at the comments. If you're in your 20s and 30s, save us.
I mean, I don't even know what to say. That guy kind of said all of it. Just
Pretty much.
feel
That's
like-
incredible.
yeah, he's point made.
Yeah.
100% agree.
And this is the reality that I am just enlightening to you guys. We sit here and we listen to the details and we try to inform other people, you know, and we try to have a conversation about it. But this is the outcome of what Gen Z is seeing, the future is seeing. And on that, I have nothing more to say on this podcast. Well, if you agree with this guy, you know what? Get out and vote and make it matter. That's all I want to say on this front here. Next time we're back here, it will be decision day, and we will have known. So get out and vote.
Yep.
See you then.
Make your voices heard.